What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to Devil's Customs and Creatures. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I couldn't miss out on Jim Silva's 5th installment of Winter in the Wastelands. I decided to go big this year with a Super Kings K-12 Hercules crane. I had some ideas right away that I wanted to build some kind of big cannon, and that became the birth of the big gun. Wait a minute, why am I being censored? All I said was big gun. Whatever, I'm gonna have to sort that out later. Let's take this thing apart and see what we're working with. You'll first have to excuse some of my lighting in this video. I'm at a new workbench and I set up an overhead camera and I'm still trying to figure out the best lighting for this, so there may be some clips that are a little darker, so I apologize for that. Here I am taking out the glass. As you can see, it's cracked, so I wanted to keep the back piece of the glass. So I'm just trying to get it out without damaging the back piece. It was in there pretty snug, but having it being broken was way easier to get it out, as you can see. So all I'm really going to have to do is just cut off this back piece here to go ahead and cover the big gap in the back. And then I'm going to close in the front cockpit to give it more armor. The crane part was held on by a rivet, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that so I can get this thing all disassembled and see what I'm really working with. I knew I wanted to replace these tires with a little bit heavier off-road tires. And as you can see here, I'm also kind of getting used to where I need to be in the camera to film correctly. It's all a learning curve, so bear with me on the video. I thought I could easily pry these wheels out, but then I just decided to drill out the two rivets that were holding the pieces. I'm not going to need the suspension for this once it's built, so I just went ahead and got those removed. So now that everything was pretty much disassembled, I needed to cut these rivets so I could remove the extension piece for the crane. This will allow me to start working on the big gun. Damn it, what is with the auto sensor? Even though 90% of this interior won't be seen, I still threw it in the super clean to remove the chrome, because there still will be pieces that'll be visible. There was a lot of test fitting required for this build. Here I am trying out the glass after I've cut off the front part, and I'm noticing that it's a little bit too snug still with this front piece. I wanted to keep these indicator lights, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and just keep the back piece. I'll think of something later. Now it's time to break out the styrene and go ahead and get this cargo box all filled in. As you can see in that previous clip, I don't measure too well, but I was able to go ahead and get that all installed, and it came out pretty good. As you can see, I'm still working with the indicator lights because I wanted to try to save them, but in the end, the styrene just made it too tight inside to get the base to fit with the interior. Now it was time to add some greeblies. Quite a while back, Mike from Mike's Mods and Customs sent me a bunch of little baggies full of model car parts, I assume they are. And I still had some random 3D parts available from other builds. Here I am just kind of test fitting some of the pieces I want to use. There's no science to this, it's basically what you think looks good. I try to pick pieces that would make some sense on a build of this type. I do believe that some restraint is necessary in builds like this, because it is easy to stick a whole bunch of things on that really don't make sense. However, this is why I enjoy some of these Gasland type builds, because there really is no rules, and it is really up to your own imagination. I honestly don't even know what half these parts are, as I'm not a model car builder, but I was really liking these little pieces here that kind of look like louvers. So I found a couple of them and I started attaching those, along with some other little knobs and buttons, to kind of make like a control center. I'm sure these are some kind of side pipes, but I went ahead and used them as vertical smokestacks. After attaching a little more to the main body, I decided to work on the cannon. This is just a piece from a old shampoo bottle. It's the pump that's inside. I had to trim it down, obviously, because it was pretty big. But it fit very snug into the crane opening, and I thought it made a pretty menacing looking gun. I wanted to make some kind of blast shield for the gun, so I found this tape dispenser and I just cut the tab off and fit it onto the cannon. After adding some mesh to the crane cab, I decided the sides of the crane needed to be dressed up a little more sci-fi, so I found these two pieces from the model kits and set about getting them attached. I also added a few more pieces to the crane part, just to make it fit into the theme. In hindsight, I probably didn't need to go through the whole process of adding new tires, but I had these more off-road style ones from other Super Kings that I decided looked better, so I went ahead and got those attached. And here they are during a test fit. And I do have to admit, I do kind of like them a lot better than the smooth ones that came with it. Nothing's attached here, so please don't mind the loose wheels. After I had everything pretty much attached that I wanted, I went ahead and gave it a test spray of primer. I started with gray at first, and then I went over it with white. I kind of liked the way it looked how it was, so I kept it this way and then moved on to the weathering. Channeling my inner boy-like hobby time, I put an old mat down to get ready for paint. It's always challenging for me to do a weathering job on a white paint job, but I guess like anything painted white, rust and grime would show a lot more. I first start with a Vallejo dark rust, which actually is kind of more like a mud color. I add this to all the bottom portions of the vehicle, just to show a lot of dirt and grime coming up from a road surface. Next, I break out the Tamiya panel liner, and I have to admit I'm not that great at applying it yet, and as you can also see, I'm not that great at filming myself applying it. I wanted to pull out some of the details on the casting itself. Next comes in my favorite color, the German black brown. When applied correctly, it does a great job of mimicking chips and wear and tear on your models. Like any other weathering, it's very easy to go overboard. With this color, you just want to go haphazardly down the edges, not make solid lines, and use it sparingly in the places that would see the most wear. And here it is after I've done all the chipping. And as you can see, it gives a very realistic look to any kind of Gaslands or military build. I applied very little rusting to this model, just a little bit to give it an accent and a hint of wear and tear. After some accent colors, I went ahead and threw on some decals. Just a couple of skulls with gas masks and a United States flag. I did want to add more to the big gun, so I made up some decals and printed them out. Remember way back in the beginning when I said I needed to come up with an idea for the indicators? Well, I grabbed two clear LEDs that I had and some clear Tamiya blue paint, and I went ahead and got those painted up. I wanted to add some icing and snow effects to the model, so I went ahead and mixed up some white paint and some woodland scenic snow and dabbed it here and there on the casting. I knew I wanted to add some kind of ice blast coming out of the big gun, so I went ahead and got a lollipop stick and my hot glue and started creating a blast effect. So just using the glue, I shaped out a blast effect and I painted it with clear blue. Using some PVA glue and some of the Woodland Scenic snow, I went ahead and painted on some snow crystals and icing on the blast effect. I was quite pleased with how this came out, being my first time making something like this. And I also made it removable, because it wasn't very realistic that it would always be present. And if you remember, this is what we started with. The Matchbox Super Kings K12 Hercules Crane. I'm a big fan of a lot of these Super Kings, and this one was a really fun project. I'd like to thank Jim Silva for hosting the Winter in the Wastelands once again for its 5th year. I hope you enjoyed the build as I enjoyed building it. Be sure to stick around for the glamour shots, and until the next one, be well. Oh, and by the way, I could never figure out why the censors kept censoring Big Frozen Gun, but after speaking with the legal department, I got it all straightened out.